Well, I think it's good. I know Alexei really wants to skate. He's probably the one that has pushed this harder than anybody. I think we're all really want him to be ready for the fall and whatever that takes for him to be ready. And I think part of that is being cautious during this time of year so that he can get back here. He's going to come back to the U.S. I think in early August and start really training heavy. But he wanted to get on the ice before he headed back to Russia, so good for him.
What did you think about the fatigue factor today?
Actually, I thought our guys did a great job. I thought today we talked about this is a great challenge for our guys to learn how important it is to show up every single day. You guys have heard Mike Babcock talk tons about being an everyday player, and it's easy on the first day to have lots of energy. It's easy on the scrimmage day to have lots of energy. Now you got to come on the days when it's hard, and I thought our guys did a great job of coming today and working hard.
What do you think about the 6 new centers that you've had come through development camp and Nozak and all the other guys that have been drafted this past summer? What do you think of them so far?
Well, I think first of all, I think the good part about that is that most centers can always move to the wing and play, and you've seen that in the scrimmage with Nosek. I think he can play center, but he's played in the wing here for the most part. We can't quite fit all the guys in all those center spots, but I think they've been impressive. They all seem to be real accountable players, the guys that can play in both ends of the ice. That's going to make your transition a lot easier. I think as we move forward, we'll see what their ceiling is going to be as a player, but I've been impressed. Nosek is somebody who I've paid real close attention to because he's going to be right here with us in the fall, and I think he's done a really good job. He seems to do lots of things in real small areas, and to me, when it gets to real hockey in the winter, you got to be able to do things in tight spaces, and he's done that.
Do you think have any of the camp invitees stood out to you? You don't have to name names, but have any of them caught your eye?
Yeah, I think the staff, the Red Wings staff, done a really good job of getting very good camp invitees, and with the NHL draft only being 7 rounds, we've all seen lots of really good players get missed through that draft for multiple reasons. Dan DeKaiser, obviously a real good example. Luke Glendening, those Brian Lashoff, they weren't drafted, so it's real important to get real good people here, and I think our staff's done a great job. There's definitely guys that are camp invitees here that I think have a good chance to play in the National Hockey League someday.
Can you talk about Athanasiou as he's about to make a transition? What do you like about his game?
Well, I've had AA now, last development camp, the prospects tournament, and then at the end of the season. So I think I'm starting to know him better than some of the other guys. He's got a high-end ability to skate and a high-end ability to make plays when he's skating. I think the biggest thing that he's going to have to learn is just how you have to come every single day. When the other players that you're playing against have similar ability, it gets even harder, and you have to come with that attention to detail and that focus every day. But that's just like almost all the guys that come in. They all have to learn how to bring that everyday approach.
What are your thoughts on how Dylan Larkin has played so far, and also what do you think it's got to be like for him? Michigan-born kid going to U of M, played on the U.S. development team, and now drafted by the Wings. What do you think that's got to be like for him?
Well, I can speak firsthand what it's like as a Michigan kid to be part of the Red Wing organization. That's what I've been in. It's a cool thing. So for him to be a player in that scenario, and to be a first-round pick, and to be drafted by the Red Wings. I was in the Red Wings suite at the draft when the family came up, and I can tell you they were ecstatic to be part of the Red Wings organization. I think lots of people are anytime you're drafted by the Detroit Red Wings, but especially somebody that grew up in the Detroit area. So that's great. He's somebody who really seems to be serious in his approach, wants to be a player, wants to get better. He also showed, we had some games today, showed some real highly competitive nature, which I think is a great thing.
Can you talk about sort of the limited window that you have to work with these NCAA players? Both the drafted ones and the free agents. When you work with somebody like Ben Marshall, you work with Larkin, you work with Mike McKee. But this is the only time you're really able to talk to them and get the impression put down.
They're in a different boat than the guys that are playing Major Junior and some of the European guys because they can't come back and play in the prospects tournament. They can't be part of main camp because of the NCAA rules. So this camp becomes even more important for them. One, to try to really learn what I guess I'd call the Red Wing way, the way that we want to do things, the things that are important to us, and hopefully take back to their season, be able to get better at those things. And two, for them to make an impression on the Red Wing brass. And so it's a short window for sure. It's the middle of the summer, but for them, it's an extremely short window, or an important short window, and they have to do a great job.
Anthony Mantha, what does he still need to improve on in his game?
Well, he's got all the skill set. I think everybody would say he's got all the skill set to be really, really good. How good, you never know until guys get to the next level. And the key for him is once he gets to the next level, how quickly can he transition his game that was obviously extremely effective in juniors to be effective in pro. I just like I talked about with AA, learning how to do the same things he did in juniors against better competition. And that's just a process. It'll be a process when he gets into main camp. The thing that I've liked so far about him is he's showing some real good leadership, and he's also shown a real good approach. The way that he's taken his approach, he's really competed hard, I think, and that's what he's going to have to do.
You know, with Mantha, besides him, we hear a lot about a culture being passed on. Do you see a lot of other returnees to the camp taking on a leadership role for the new guys?
I think so, and I think that's one of the unique things for the development camp is that you have different guys that have opportunities to be in leadership roles that might have been in them last year and might not be in them this coming year. Guys that are coming to play for us in the Griffins, they're all of a sudden going to go be older guys in their junior college teams to rookies. So this might be a lot lesser chance for them to show that leadership role for a year from now and grow from that. So I think it's a good, positive thing. I think the culture within the Red Wing organization has been one of extreme work ethic, of inner drive, and of competitiveness, and I think these guys have picked up on that. Certainly the guys that were around in main camp last year passed it along to the new guys that have been in here this year.
Can you talk to us about the sort of the condensed schedule? It seems that they're shorter practices, they're shorter skill drills, but at a very high pace and still a high level of attention to detail. Yeah,
well, we tried to do, I think, over and this is, you learn as you go along here, and so I wasn't a part of the first development camp that I could have been for personal reasons. Last year, I thought I learned some different things, and we tried to apply it this year. We want to replicate the pro approach, what they're going to see in pro hockey, and in pro hockey, and certainly playing for myself or playing for Mike Babcock, practices aren't going to be long, but you better be good in the practice, and they're going to be intense, and they're going to be high paced. And so we've tried to replicate that here. I don't think you need to be at the rink all day to get something done. I'm a huge believer in getting it done in a short period of time, but having great attention to detail and being great every time you touch on you go on the ice. And I think they've done a good job of that, and that's what we're trying to replicate.
And the skill drills seem to bring the best of what Thomas Storm and Andy Wiedenbrock had taught before. Yeah, and those guys are great at what they do for sure. It's just that with such a short period of time, you really have to work over the course of a summer to get better at a lot of that skill stuff. So we tried to take that and build upon what they've done, and also put into some of the habits, the little habits that we're talking about in practice. Every single day in practice, we've got a core habit and a corresponding team concept that is important to be in a Detroit Red Wing. We've applied those in the practices, and we tried to apply them in the skill drills. And that's where the off-ice stuff works as well, with the strength and conditioning, the nutrition, and so on. You're correct, and I think one of the most important parts of this camp, if not the most important part, is the time they're going to spend with Peter Renzetti, the time they're going to spend with Lisa McDowell, working on the off-ice portion of it, learning how to lift properly, learning how to do all those things, learning how to eat properly. It's a huge part of being an elite athlete now, much different than probably 20 years ago, and if they don't do it, they're going to fall behind, so it's a huge part of it. On a personal level, now you're working with Derek Lalonde, and you brought in the coach from RPI. Can you talk about getting to know somebody who's going to be working for your developmental affiliate, and also bringing in a college coach to work with the college players? I actually have had relationships with both those guys, so I know both of them. But the important thing I thought was bringing in people who I know, but I have never really worked with. Now, Lalonde's obviously in a different situation because he's now our AA affiliate coach. But I've never been on the ice with him, and I've never been on the ice with Seth Appert, but yet we have real good relationships where we can talk about things and they can tell me whatever they're thinking because of our comfort level with each other. So I think it's been great to have them around. We've tried to have them do some of their stuff so we can, for lack of a better word, steal their ideas and steal some of their drills. And then also after we've had some professional development, we'll today again where each guy presents on a certain topic and we try to learn from each other. So it's great to have them around. Both of those guys happen to be good friends of mine, but that's probably not as important as it is that they're really good at what they do and we want to learn from them.